You're listening to the Deep Dive Dealcast, the show that dissects every layer of real estate, from the dirt under the deal to the numbers behind the contract. With over 50 years of combined experience, your hosts bring you the truth behind the market shifts, the anatomy of good deals, and the landmines to avoid. Grab your notebook, you're in the right place.
Hello, everybody. This is Shay McGee with the Shamrock Group and eXp Realty. And with me is my great friend, Judy Forden. And we are going to be starting a podcast that we'd love to give out to you. And our focus is to help with all things real estate and focus in on not only buying and selling homes, but investing, house hacking, all the things that are a little bit of a deeper dive that need a little bit more attention than, hey, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. These are rates, and here you go.
Right.
We're going to dive a little bit further and hopefully bring you as much quality information as we can. Judy, please, by all means, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Judy Forden. I'm over at Real Estate Essentials with the TRAB CRE team. We do residential and commercial. So just like Shay, and Shay does the same thing. We're very well rounded, and yeah, we want to get ahead of the curve with this podcast so that you can come here and think about what we're seeing and what we're hearing, so you can be ahead of it as well.
Absolutely. And mostly how it affects you, your house, your equity, your investments. We want this to be geared to help you and help you make the best informed decision as possible. I can't speak for Judy's age because I think she's perennially 27 years old, but I've been doing this for 25 years. Judy has been a very dear friend of mine for many, many of those years, and
A
she
long
was a
time.
coach of mine. So, I mean, definitely listen. I do. But yeah, let's kind of jump into it. Judy, you had a great topic today that I think is going to help a lot of people, and more importantly, dispel misinformation.
Right.
And so let's jump into it.
Okay, yeah. So I was talking with a couple agents, and one of the agents just made a comment that I wrote it down, but it's ingrained in my brain, is that sellers right now think it's 2020 and buyers think it's 2008. So if any of you have been in both of those markets, you know what that means, right?
That's exactly right. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for those of you that don't know or don't remember, 2020 for sellers, first year into 2021 of COVID, and the real estate industry as a whole thought that everything would slow down to a halt and we wouldn't be busy and nothing would be moving. But we couldn't have been more wrong. It was one of the busiest times in real estate as a whole that we'd seen in a long time. And sellers were making out like an absolute bandit.
They were really, yeah, it was beyond a seller's market.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
People were paying 20,000, 30,000, 60,000 over asking price was the highest one I've seen. But I have a buddy in real estate out in Toronto, and he had an offer that was $750,000 over asking price to get that home.
Yike.
It was insane, and people were giving up their inspections and their appraisals
Appraisals.
just to get it done. Please, for all that's good, please let me buy your home.
No.
And if you were a seller, you couldn't print money that fast. It
Right.
was an absolutely beautiful market for you. But one, it was a terrible market for buyers, especially if you didn't
Just
have
hard.
tens
Mm-hmm.
of thousands or other of sitting dollars sitting around,
Right.
or you needed FHA or VA appraisals because there was so much money flying around. A lot of sellers wouldn't even consider them.
Touch it.
They were just
Mm-mm.
thrown out, and people that didn't have a whole boatload of money sitting around were priced out of the market and stuck renting or not being able to buy a home. And it was really, really tough for them.
It was, and that's, I think, the essence of real estate, right? It's ever changing, and it's sometimes a seller's market, sometimes a buyer's market, sometimes an even market, and it's ever changing. So like you, I've been in business 26 years, so we've seen it all go up and down, up and down, up and down. We expect it, right?
Couple
So,
hot markets, couple
yeah.
pretty almost crashes. I mean, we've been through it.
Well, and wouldn't you agree that every market, I guess, I don't know how to say it, pluses and minuses, but in every market, houses sell. People buy, people sell, and they figured it out.
And I think that's a really smart thing to bring up because whether it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, or a mixed market, one, it never stays for long. It's there
No,
for a minute, but it's
right.
always changing. And no matter what market it is, if the house is in a good condition, it's marketed well and
Hmm.
aggressively, and it's priced right, there's a price for every home out there,
Yep,
regardless of condition, regardless of location, regardless of age. There is a price. If you find the right price, you'll sell it and be able to cash out at that. If
exactly.
not, you'll sit on the market for months and months and months and lose tens,
Yep,
if not hundreds of thousands of
right.
dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
So I think people just need to know that if you can or you have to, when it's a market that makes it a little bit harder, those are the things you decide on because it's it's always possible. There's always homes on the market and there's always buyers in the market. So
exactly right. And there's a whole lot of things other than just the price of a house that ultimately sells a house.
for
There's
sure.
the terms, what you're willing to do, time frames of possession, home warranties, home
Hmm.
inspections up front. There's lots of ways if you're marketing and setting your home up to stand out
Yep.
that it will get done and you will find success. You have to have the right team and you have to all be communicating well for success, but it can
Yep.
all be done.
Yep.
Now, on the flip side, let's talk about was it 2018
2008.
or
You mean when,
2008?
yeah,
Sorry, off
yeah,
by a decade. Let's talk
yeah.
about 2008, which is pretty much the exact polar opposite of
Hmm.
2020. In your experience, Judy, what was that market looking like for you?
Hmm. Well, in that market, I happen to be in Detroit, Michigan
Oh, there
market
you
in
go.
the suburbs thereof. But in 2008, across the country, what we were seeing is, there was a crash, right? That's the term that everybody uses. And so the inventory was huge. Prices were falling. I mean, if they were falling by, I don't know, 5-10% a month. It was a crazy fast market. And so buyers had so much leverage because there was so much to pick from. And it, it made sellers, if they wanted to move, it made them have to do it. Now, the opposite side of that is a lot of those sellers didn't have equity in their homes. So we had to be creative on the other side.
Right.
So again, as we talked about in the very beginning of this, that every market has a plus and a minus. You just have to, have the right agent to navigate you through those different scenarios. But
Exactly. And during that market, there was a lot of really motivated sellers too, because
mhm,
that was 2000, 6, 7, and 8 led to, 2008, 9, and 10 when it all fell down.
that's right.
Luckily, Utah was very insulated as, opposed to most of the country. And I think the numbers, if memory serves, was on average, we were down 1.5% as a whole for one quarter. We were very insulated, but we saw that. But there were a lot of people that were getting foreclosed on, notice of defaults, losing their
Correct.
home.
Yep.
And like you were
Short
saying
sales.
about not having equity, a lot of these people got loans that were interest only loans and other similar, I'll call them icky types of lending
Hmm.
because for a while, if you had a heartbeat, you had a loan because the market had been really good and they just let you have money whether it was really a good idea or not.
Right.
And when it all kind of crashed down, nobody had equity because they were just paying the the
Interest.
interest on it and not the principal, but also the job market was coming down. It was a tough time.
Yep.
So sellers were in a place of desperation to get out.
Hmm.
So buyers took advantage of it. And that's just, that's the market itself. If
Right.
you're selling quickly and for less money, it's going to move faster. But it was,
Yep.
again, the polar opposite of 2020. But the reason we bring all this up is sellers sometimes believe that the market is still like 2020, where you'll get everything, including someone's firstborn. And
Oh, you can have mine. No, I'm just kidding.
I've met her, she's wonderful.
That's
But
true.
buyers think that it's that 2008 market where you can pick up something for a wish and a dream and ask for closing costs and prepaids to pay down your
Right.
loan points and everything. And the fact of the matter is it's not either of those markets right now.
Yep.
It's balanced, but it's, I won't say completely unique, but unique lately, that it is almost neighborhood by neighborhood on what's selling quick and what's
True.
sitting for a while.
Yep.
And it's not as easy as it's, one market or another. You
Hmm.
have to dig a bit deeper and find out what's going on in that city, in that neighborhood, and look into it, quite a bit deeper to make sure that you're priced right, you're separating yourself from your, competition if you're selling, to
Yeah.
get those eyes on you. And if you're buying, we need to change about a little bit about your buyer presentation, the buyer packet that you send out, to
Yep.
again separate yourself from everybody else, to ultimately find success and end up living where you want to live.
Completely. I mean, I call it a wonky. That's the word I'm using. It's a wonky market. But it's really just know that if you have a good agent and they're telling you something you feel uncomfortable with, it's because you need to hear it.
Mhm.
It's not a bad thing. It's just reality. The good news is that the reality of it isn't as drastic as in 2008. We just have to, I call it this. You're still going to get great money for your house. You're just going to not going to get more of what your neighbor got, right? We're not
Right.
increasing every single month, but we are, especially here in Utah. I mean, the market here is still so amazingly strong.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a lot of first-time home buyers coming into the market. People are getting used to the fact that the interest rates are six-ish,
Mhm.
can be up a little, down a little, depending on what's happening. And I feel like that people are getting more comfortable with that because I don't know about you, but that is really, I know for a lot of people, it's a big number. But the first house I bought, we paid almost 9% interest. We had great credit, we had 20% down, all of the things. That's just what the interest rate was back then.
Well, right. And forever, a great interest rate, like when I jumped into the industry in 2000, if you had pretty much a paper credit, you were looking about 7.5.
Hmm.
That's just where
Yep.
it was. That was,
Yep.
you're not high risk. You
Yeah.
pay your bills, your credit's good, you back
Yep.
it up, you've got a good job. 7.5 was it. And that was actually pretty nice because prior to that, it was like you said, nines, tens, 13s.
Yeah.
13% was, a very common rate for a long time.
It
Now,
was.
granted, you could buy like a 3-bedroom house for like $60,000. So,
Well,
I
there's
mean,
that. Yeah.
let's balance a little bit, okay? But right now, people are some people are feeling that number is really, really large, and it scares them because we were pampered
So
for a
low.
number of years, with COVID and everything, and keeping that interest rate low. And it was an artificial push down on those rates to try and get, the market up and running, get things moving forward in our financial house in the country. And not to get political, but it wasn't meant to stay that low. And
For that
honestly, I
long.
think they kept
Yeah.
it too low too long, because now
Mhm.
that sticker shock came in and it shot from high twos, low threes to, high sevens.
Oh no,
And that is sticker shock. 5% is
that's a lot.
that's a material difference on your payment and what you pay
Yeah.
over the years. But it's eased a little bit. And like you're saying, there's a lot of people coming out of, the holding pattern that are, okay, we're easing a little bit. I'm okay with this. This is what the market is. It may fall a little bit more. There are still people that are waiting for the rate to go down to 4%, 3.5%. And people that, waited, when it first jumped up, like in the 70s, it didn't go back down to that rate for almost 30 years. And rates can move quickly, but normally don't. And based on conversations and productions that we've seen from economists and such, we will probably end up settling, at least for a moment, close to where we are. Maybe a little lower, maybe 5.5%.
Maybe 5.5. I was going to say 5.5. Yep.
But from all the economists that I have read or spoken with, that's where we're going to settle, at least for now, barring any big change. But people are getting used to that. They're coming back. They're out, looking at houses. And when you're a buyer, there are concessions that you can get in your negotiation. You can't get everything that you want, but you can get quite a bit. And on the other side, as a seller, you can sell your home and you'll probably have some concessions, but not much. It's balanced in most places. Again, it's neighborhood by neighborhood.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of opportunity on both sides. And realistically, it comes down to your representation and the negotiation. That's the difference right there.
Yeah. And again, lenders are being creative with that and the concessions. I put someone into a new buy, and instead of asking for less off the asking price, we did a full asking price with concessions so she could buy down the rate. And, her rate was 5.5 instead of 6.5, so for her, that was amazing. Actually, she might have been 4.9. Hers was pretty low. So there's things that you can do. You just, obviously the house has to appraise. There's lots of, and we can delve into that in other podcasts, but just know as a seller and a buyer, if you're thinking of selling or buying, talk to someone that can really explain it to you so that you can have that information to know that this is a good market. You can really be ahead of the game if you do it now versus waiting.
Exactly right. The right team, the right representation, and the right negotiation will absolutely push things in your favor, whether you're buying or selling, and that's residential or commercial or land across the board. Your representation, and I know that sounds like self-promotion, but it's not. Your representation and your negotiation will change your outcome more now than it has in either market, because there's room for that both ways.
Yeah. And what I'm finding, and I don't think this was the direction we had planned to go, but I'm gonna talk about this just real quick, is when we talk about putting together the right team and your agent, you want to make sure that your agent is the type of agent that's going to communicate with the other side. So if I have a buyer, before I even make an offer, before I sit down and we run the numbers with the buyer, I'm going to call that listing agent and I'm going to find out what's important to that seller, because it's not always just money, right? So, I sold a house in Bountiful and we did the same thing. And this gentleman got it a little bit less, but these people needed 60 days. They were an older couple and they wanted to stay 2 months with free rent.
Nice.
After closing. And he said, I can do that. So he actually won the bid over somebody who paid a little bit more for it because they needed to move in right away. I don't think we planned that, but that was a good teaser.
Our recording cut out for us for a minute, so bear with us. But I think that's definitely something to dig in deeper, because we had mentioned it even earlier today about, the different things other than a price point that can ultimately get you over the hill and find success. So we'll definitely dig into that in a future podcast, we're going to be doing this weekly and putting these out. We do this again to help you. We would love all of your questions and help us help you. Let us know what you'd like to know about the market, how to properly, finagle the market and make it work for you for success, putting together the right team, the right terms, everything that you need. Reach out to Judy, reach out to myself. Let us know your questions, put those in the comments. And if you know of anybody that would benefit from hearing this, please share it. We
Share
would
it.
love that. And one thing that I love about Judy is she's a teacher. She's all about helping you get that education that you need to feel comfortable and confident in what you're doing, so that there's all that fear and all of that, distrust and that anxiety goes away. So never hesitate to reach out to her. I try to do the same thing. A lot of people say they're here for you, but
You
honestly,
do
of
the
the
same
thousands of
thing.
agents that I've met in this business, there's
Yeah.
probably 12 to 15 that I know of that truly want to help and have that, service first
Hmm.
mentality. And
Right.
Judy is certainly one of those. But reach out to us. We are honestly happy to help. And your questions are never an irritation, they never bug us. This is
Nope.
what helps us find that joy in what we do. And honestly, the harder the question, the more we have to research it, the more we learn, the better we
Yeah.
are at our job. So feel free to
Challenge
challenge
us.
us.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Perfect. Judy, do you have anything to say?
Well, I think just a summary, this is a great market. Don't let anybody tell you it isn't, because no, maybe it's not the right market for you, but just know that every market has the ability to have sellers sell and buyers buy. So reach out, like Shay said, reach out to us, reach out to an agent that you know, because this might be the perfect time for you to get started. Get ahead of the game.
Exactly right. And one other thing we didn't really talk about, and we'll get into later, marry the house, date the rate. Rates change
Yep.
all the time, but if rates go down, we can refinance it. If rates go up, you're doing that much better by having a lower rate. There's really not a bad time. It's just the change in how you have to go about it to make it
Hmm.
successful.
Totally.
Perfect. Judy, this was wonderful. We'll definitely do this again. For those of you, well, you guys haven't seen it, but we recorded a couple before and they ended up not working. So we sort of jumped in again. So we will get this going and out to you. We're happy to help at any time, and I hope it's helpful. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Deep Dive Dealcast. If you found value today, hit subscribe and share the episode with someone who's ready to think deeper about deals. We'll be back next week with another deep dive.